Each individual is endowed with a unique face and a unique body type of his own. Depending on what a person's body type is, the characteristics of his mind can be predicted. A body type is a result of inherited genes, diet, exercises, and mental activities. And any change in either of these can produce a change in the body type of the person and in the characteristics of his mind. In the human body, there are 5 different organ systems, which as per their development produces different faces and different body types. And each face and each body type is unique in its own way. Each body type and each different face functions in its own unique way, depending on which organ system dominates it. Ladies and gentlemen, Aditi once again on InnerWorldRevealed, and in this vlog we're going to find out how each body type would be operating in their day-to-day lives. What are the organ systems which dominate a particular body type? There is a difference between how a thin and tall person would function from how a short and stout person is going to function. So what exactly is your body type? Which are the organs that you're dominated by? Let us find out. According to practical physiognomy, there are 5 different organ systems in the human body. It is always seen that usually 1 or 2 systems dominate a particular person. And depending on which organ systems dominate the body type and the characteristics of the mind of that particular person are formed. So you could be dominated by the vegetative system, or the thoracic system, or the muscular system, or the bone system, or the brain and the nerve system, or a combination of any of these systems. As per the sequence of evolution, the vegetative system evolved first. The first sign of a living organism is to consume nutrition and grow. Even the single-celled organisms like amoeba and euglena are capable of consuming nutrition and growing. So this is the simplest of all functions in our body, that is consuming nutrition and growing. The first few years of our lives are passed like that. We only eat, sleep, and we grow in shape and size. That is what an infant does. The infant is also very fond of liquid food because liquids are easy to take in, to swallow, and chewing requires more intelligence and effort. So if we come across an adult who looks like an infant, who resembles an infant, especially in the lower part of the face, with globular cheeks and chin, with a lot of baby fat, with a lot of soft and baby fat in cheeks and chin, and with a big mouth and sleepy eyes, then in that case, we should consider that the vegetative system in that particular person is extremely well developed or overdeveloped. You see, it is actually good to have a fair amount of development in all the organ systems of the body, because if any system is underdeveloped, it produces weakness. Say if the vegetative system is underdeveloped, it produces dyspepsia and dislike for food. If the vegetative system is overdeveloped, it produces a childlike appearance and childlike behavior at the same time. You know, the people who look like babies also behave like babies in many ways. Like the babies tend to be pretty selfish about their own comforts and lazy as well. They only eat, sleep and grow. So similarly, these people also tend to be pretty selfish, indulgent, reluctant and lazy. They do not like to make much of an effort and like all the easy things. Like they like to swallow more liquids instead of more solids, and also like to play with water like the babies. The next stage of evolution was the evolution of the thoracic system, which consists of all the organs of respiration and circulation such as lungs, heart, liver, together with several ducts, veins, arteries and tubes. We know, as per the sequence of evolution, that the amphibia came from the fish and then the reptiles came from the amphibia. And once the reptiles ceased the life in water completely, they developed nostrils and a system of lungs. This is how the thoracic system began to develop. The first sign of a strongly developed thoracic system is the fully developed nostrils. Apart from that, the other signs are a fuller throat, rounding chest, bright eyes, while the forehead and abdomen area could be smaller in such people. The thoracic system is the only system which, when overdeveloped, does not produce any bad effects. A thoracic individual tends to be extremely energetic and active. And when you have a lot of energy, you do not like staying indoors much. It is seen that children who have a dominant thoracic system in their body tend to be having very quick grasping powers. They catch everything very quickly. But because they understand things quickly, they also tend to get bored. So it is difficult to make them concentrate on one particular thing for very long. They would not like to be at one place for very long and would tend to be restless. This is Napoleon Bonaparte's picture, and out here we can clearly see the signs of a strong thoracic development. The forehead was smaller at a younger age, but probably would have increased with an increase of mental activities for which the hairline might have receded. You see, most people with only strong thoracic development are not the brain-dominated people unless and until the brain and nerve system is also a very prominently active system. But in spite of having a smaller brain size, most of these people become brilliant successes in life because of the strength of the circulatory organs. The development of the thorax is absolutely necessary. Physical functions of an organism and his mental capabilities stand in close relation to each other. Any day, a bird is smarter than a simple jellyfish. Intelligence increases as you get involved in more and more activities. The greatest advance in the intelligence of organisms happened with the development of a more perfected reproductive system. It took a lot of intelligence to first lure a partner, then to reproduce, and then to bring up the offsprings. In human family, the most perfected individuals have a strongly developed reproductive system. And a well-developed reproductive system is always found to be in combination with a well-developed muscular system. So, the most prominent quality of an individual with a strong muscular system is magnetism. The eyes are a mass of active muscles. So whenever a person is seen to be muscle dominated, the eyes are seen to be bigger and more convex. People who have small sunken eyes are seen to be having less muscle power as compared to the people who have large and convex eyes. Usually it is seen that the people who are muscle dominated tend to have very round and muscular nose, short and round ears, short and round neck, round chest but broad one, and a roundish forehead. All the features are very round. But then the muscles could also be the long and thin type. In that case, which is contrary to the short muscles does not produce a lot of height, but the lean and tall muscles, long muscles, produces a lot of height. In that case, the individual would tend to be taller and more lean and would tend to have a longer nose and longish limbs and all that. You see, the muscle-dominated people are seen to be very fond of the opposite sex. They have a lot of emotions for the opposite sex. If the muscles are like longish and the lean muscles, in that case the person would be more sentimental and more emotional and more driven towards the artistic lines. However, if the muscles appear to be short and stout, if you find the person to be very short and stocky, in that case, the person is going to have very strong commercial capabilities also. And one more thing that you can identify the muscular person with is a muscular person tends to develop vertical wrinkles in the face. You see, if you find an individual with vertical lines on the forehead, then definitely that individual has a lot of muscles out there. And sometimes we also see dimpled cheeks. That is also an example of a muscular individual. Muscles are synonymous to creativity. Muscles produce creativity because muscles are always changeable, shifting, and unpredictable. Muscular people are extremely magnetic people. Magnetism is unique to the muscular people. So you can see the picture of Edgar Degas demonstrating the straight and lean muscles, and the picture of Frida Kahlo then demonstrating the roundish muscles. Now, as we move forward along the sequence of evolution, we can see that after the development of the muscular system, the simultaneous development of the bone system became absolutely important. A well-developed bone system in a person is first of all known by his height. And because the person is dominated by bones more, the joints could be big and large. The entire structure of the body could be bigger. Now, this face is a very crude example because this also has a lot of other important features. But just for an example, in a bony person, the cheekbones could be higher, the lower part of the forehead could be projected over and beyond the eyes, and the person could be having a broader chin. Then very prominent joints also and knuckles, and the tips of the fingers could be a bit squarish as compared to beautiful tapering and oval fingers of the muscular guy. The very material of which rocks are made are found to be in the bones of the man and of higher animals. So obviously the bone dominated person is rock solid. So there could be variety of bones, straight or crooked or round or square or long or short. You could be finding any combinations of bones in a particular person. But the person who has the squarish and the longish bones is having the most solid character, strength of character, integrity, honesty, and the highest degree of morality. Now, in case the bones are a bit curved, in that case, the amount of integrity would be less as compared to the straight bones, and the person would be more fond of producing curvy linear things. The person would be more fond of curved objects and would like to produce more curved lines. You see, circles and curves are artistic and straight lines are mechanical. Now, it is also possible that the bony person sometimes might get covered with a lot of fat. But what happens in that case? Does the person still remain very firm and with a lot of integrity? Well, you see, fat again is not solid. Whatever is there in your body is actually a reflection of you. Fat is not reliable. Fat is negative, it is indulgent, it is reluctant. That is how a person actually gets fat. That is how mostly I put on weight. Now, as I've already said, that excess development of any other system apart from the thoracic system is actually not so good. Excess development of the muscles would make the individual very unreliable, shifting and changeable. Excess development of the bones are very heavy and solid. So excess development of the bones would make the person very heavy, and when you become very heavy, you become lethargic. So actually, you see, you can also be changing your body type every time with proper exercises, proper diet, and proper mental activities. You see, if you are a muscular individual, if you have too much of muscles, you could be incorporating a lot of grains in your diet. Grains have carbonate and phosphate of lime, which help in building bones. That is what bones are made of. And muscular people, when you have excess muscles, you tend to be very indulgent, so you could be getting into a lot of exercising to reduce the muscles. Again, if you have a lot of bones, then you could be dissolving the bones. Bones are made of solid materials, so you could be dissolving the bones by drinking and taking in a lot of fluid substances, and also thinking more on the emotional and artistic lines. That would be dissolving your bones to a great extent. A bony individual, a person who is dominated by bones, would never shy away from doing any kind of hard work, would never shy away from taking stands and firmly going on doing a particular work for very long. But then, at a certain point of time, you might notice that the person is also becoming a bit mechanical. You need to be interesting, you need to be changeable and less rigid at some points in your life. The most interesting organ system out of all is the brain and the nerve system. The human brain is the biggest mystery as ever. It is believed that all parts of the body have a representation in the brain. Long before any bodily organs had evolved in any organisms, the bodies of the most primitive organisms, which are believed to be the zoophytes. An example of the zoophyte in the present day would be the sea anemone, which look like plants but actually are predatory animals which survive on fish and shrimps. And these organisms are only composed of hollow tube-like structures, and all the knowledge or sensation of the outer world to these organisms is coming through this tube-like covering, which could be called their skin. So we can say that the first sensation or the act of mind was the sense of touch. So the first mind has its origin in the skin. The texture of your skin is indicative of how sensitive your mind is. But then, you see, sensitivity is often confused with emotions. But emotions are different from sensitivity. Emotions is the power to express your inner feelings. You are more expressive. People with bigger eyes, muscular people, are more emotional, are able to express more. But then sensitivity is different. Sensitivity is the power to feel, to sense. You can sense more. That does not mean that you can express the senses more. A person with a very fine skin and fine hair, coupled with bright eyes, is considered to be the most sensitive kind. He is considered to be definitely more sensitive as compared to a person who has a coarse skin. When your skin is very fine, the nerves in your body are active, very active, all over your body. The whole body is able to feel the touch and sense more. Nerves. The nerve substance is very similar to the brain substance in its activities. The nerves communicate all what is happening in all the parts of the body to the brain. The senses are communicated to the brain via nerves. So the nerve person is feeling more. And what the brain is doing is, the brain is converting all those sensations into consciousness. And obviously, a brain-dominated person is also seen to be having a bigger and fully developed forehead, a bigger size of the brain, and obviously the person is able to feel more, he is able to think more, he is able to sense more. But only because you're feeling more, you're sensing more, and you are thinking more, it does not mean that you're able to express it. It does not mean that everything that you're thinking of is converting to physical reality. It all depends on the development of the other organ system, the strength of the other organ systems. Whenever any organ system of our body is overdeveloped, some other system is compromised for. All the great strengths that we have are also producing great weaknesses. But the idea is to be able to strike a balance in all this chaos. The idea is to bank upon our strengths and overcome our weaknesses. The idea is to know ourselves so that we can wisely use all our talents.